This week's Tuesday Talk, we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to talk mostly about my allergies, food, migraine journey. Now, this has been asked by a number of people because we mentioned my food allergies a lot. So I thought I'd give you a little background and let you know what this is all about. I've had migraines since I was a kid. Got put on migraine medication when I was in college, though they were super expensive. I couldn't always afford them. And yeah, it just progressively kept getting worse and worse. Sometimes my migraines were so bad that I'd be out in a dark room for days at a time. Other times they would be kind of really persistent nagging, but I could get through it, but those would last for days and migraine meds wouldn't cut it. And yeah, it was rough. Certain times of the year were rough. I had a lot of different triggers. My triggers included weather, allergies, dehydration, hormones, stress, all the normal migraine triggers. I went through and did so many different food journals over the course of over a decade to try to figure out if I had food issues that would contribute to the allergies, to the migraines, because that's pretty common. And even the first day that we met on our very first date, that was the first day after 30-day weird food diet thing that I did where I cut everything out and decided the first thing I was going to introduce back into my diet was tomatoes. And so I downed a whole bunch of fresh tomatoes that day, had lunch with this one for the first time, had tomatoes in my salad, and then had a 3-day migraine.
Naturally, I assumed it was the company, but she insists it had nothing to do with me.
No. So I continued trying different things. I knew somebody who went gluten-free, so I went gluten-free. That helped some, but not completely. I do know it helps because once I was off gluten for a while, I tried eating something with gluten and it gave me a headache. So it didn't completely cure me of migraines, but I knew it was a factor. Figured out dairy was a factor when we were in Disney World, eating ice cream every day, and had a migraine the entire week. And eventually my ears actually started burning and I had an actual allergic reaction to the dairy. So cut that out. Finally, after years and years and years of trying all this stuff, I decided to try a histamine intolerance diet. So histamine is what happens in your body when you're allergic to something. So if you have air allergies and you get all stuffy or sneezy, that is histamine in your body. That is why we take antihistamines to deal with that. Turns out I have a histamine intolerance. I don't do well with a lot of histamine in my blood or in my body. And so I like to think of it as I have a level. And if my histamine level is down here, Penny's hitting me. If my histamine level's down here, then I don't get migraines, even if weather changes, even if I'm stressed, even if whatever. If my histamine level is up here, then anything can push me over into a migraine because the histamines are what kind of is the background to those triggers. So that is why I now don't eat gluten, don't eat dairy, don't eat a lot of soy, and avoid the 5 biggest histamine foods, which are spinach, tomatoes, avocados, bananas, and strawberries.
Just the delicious ones.
Yeah.
They all have histamines, because apparently histamines are delicious.
Yes. So that is my story. I am not actually allergic, like need an EpiPen allergic to any foods, but if I eat enough of the things that cause histamine in my blood, then I start getting headaches and I can go back into that migraine stage, which is not where I want to be. So I try to avoid them as much as I can. And if I start having issues with them or there's air allergies or anything like that, I take a Benadryl and that usually brings the levels back down and helps with my headaches. So that was a really long spiel.
Yeah.
About food and allergies.
But it was detailed.
Well, I figured a lot of people have asked, and
a lot of people don't think about histamines.
No, a lot of people think about food allergies with migraines, and you can't put it all together. Like, I knew tomatoes affected me, but potatoes and peppers don't, and that's what they're all nightshades, and that's normally the problem, and that wasn't it. And so it took me years of piecing all these pieces together, and I finally found what I'm 99.9% sure is what caused my migraines, because I've managed to be migraine free for close to 2 years. So anybody out there that suffers from migraines or other weird medical conditions, keep on trying, keep on recording what you eat, doing what you can to figure out what your triggers are, because as much as like medicine can help, it's not always going to help completely, and sometimes it just takes making sacrifices, and it means that I have to eat differently than I otherwise would, but it is so worth it that I do not have the pain that I did. And Steve agrees, because he had to deal with me when I had that pain, and that was no fun.
It's good all around.
Yes, it's good all around. That's it for today's Tuesday Talk. If you like this Tuesday Talk, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.